Picture this: a single penny, a humble 1993 Lincoln cent, sitting in your pocket, worth more than a mansion, a yacht, or a private jet, $26 million, to be exact, a coin so rare it could rewrite your entire life. But how did a simple 1-cent piece become one of the most valuable treasures in history? Let's dive into the wild, winding tale of this extraordinary coin, a story packed with mystery, history, and the kind of suspense that keeps you glued to the edge of your seat. It all begins in the early 1990s, a time when grunge music ruled the airwaves, the internet was just a whisper, and the United States Mint was churning out billions of pennies, those copper-colored discs we all know, love, and often ignore. In 1993, the Philadelphia Mint struck over 6 billion Lincoln cents, each one bearing the familiar profile of Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States, designed by Victor David Brenner way back in 1909. The penny was a staple of American currency, unchanged in its core design for decades, a symbol of small change, something you'd find jingling in your pocket or stuck under a couch cushion. But among those billions of pennies, a tiny handful were different, unique in a way that would send collectors, historians, and treasure hunters into a frenzy. These weren't just any pennies, they were errors, mistakes made during the minting process that turned an ordinary coin into a once-in-a-lifetime find. To understand why this 1993 penny is worth $26 million, we need to go back to how coins are made. The mint uses massive presses to stamp designs onto blank metal discs called planchets. For pennies, these planchets were supposed to be copper-plated zinc, a cost-saving measure introduced in 1982 to replace the more expensive solid copper pennies. But every so often, something goes wrong. A planchet meant for one coin gets stamped with the design of another, or a die, the metal stamp that imprints the design, is misaligned, or, in the case of our 1993 penny, something even rarer happens. Rumors began to swirl among collectors in the mid-1990s about a 1993 penny that wasn't supposed to exist, a coin struck on the wrong planchet, a bronze planchet to be precise, a holdover from the days when pennies were made of solid bronze before the switch to copper-plated zinc. This wasn't just any mistake, it was a monumental error, one that could only happen if a bronze planchet from years past somehow slipped into the 1993 production line. The odds? Astronomically low, like winning the lottery while being struck by lightning on a clear day. Collectors whispered about these coins in hushed tones, calling them the holy grail of modern numismatics, a term for coin collecting that's as much about passion as it is about precision. The first clue to this penny's existence came from a sharp-eyed collector in 1994, a man named Robert, a retired schoolteacher from Ohio who'd been collecting coins since he was a kid, saving every penny he found in hopes of stumbling across something special. One rainy afternoon, while sorting through a roll of pennies from his local bank, Robert noticed something odd. One penny gleamed differently under his magnifying glass, its color richer, its weight slightly heavier than the others. He checked the date, 1993. His heart raced. Could this be one of the fabled bronze pennies? He knew the mint had stopped using bronze planchets over a decade earlier, so how could this coin exist? Robert's discovery set off a chain reaction in the coin collecting world, with experts scrambling to verify his find. The coin was sent to the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, one of the most respected grading agencies in the world, where numismatists, coin experts, examined it under microscopes, weighed it, and tested its composition. The verdict? It was authentic, a 1993 Lincoln cent struck on a bronze planchet, weighing 3.11 grams instead of the standard 2.5 grams for a copper-plated zinc penny. The coin was graded MS 65, meaning it was in near-perfect condition, with only minor imperfections visible under magnification. News of Robert's find spread like wildfire, and soon, collectors were combing through their own stashes, hoping to uncover another. But this wasn't the only 1993 bronze penny. Over the next few years, a handful of others surfaced, each one a miracle of minting mishaps, with estimates suggesting fewer than 20 exist worldwide. Each discovery added to the legend, driving up the value of these coins as collectors and investors vied for a chance to own a piece of history. But what makes a penny worth $26 million? It's not just the rarity, it's the story, the chase, the dream of finding treasure in the everyday. The 1993 bronze penny became a symbol of possibility, proof that even the smallest things can hold unimaginable value. Let's rewind to the mint itself to understand how this era happened. In 1993, the Philadelphia Mint was a bustling operation, producing coins at a breakneck pace to keep up with the demands of commerce. Workers operated massive presses, each one capable of stamping hundreds of coins per minute. Planchets were fed into these presses from bins, and quality control was rigorous but not infallible. Somewhere in the chaos of production, a few bronze planchets, left over from an earlier era, were accidentally mixed in with the zinc ones. Maybe a worker overlooked a stray bin, or maybe a few old planchets were stuck in a machine, forgotten until they were stamped with the 1993 Lincoln design. Whatever the cause, these errors slipped through, unnoticed by mint inspectors, and entered circulation, waiting to be found by someone with a keen eye. The first public auction of a 1993 bronze penny came in 1996, when a specimen graded MS 66 by PCGS sold for $82,500, a staggering sum for a penny but just the beginning. As more collectors learned of the coin's rarity, prices climbed. By the early 2000s, another 1993 bronze penny sold for $200,000, and the legend grew. The coin's value wasn't just about its material or minting era, it was about the human stories behind it, the thrill of discovery, the obsession of collectors, the dreams of striking it rich. One collector, a woman named Sarah from Texas, found her 1993 bronze penny in a jar of change her grandfather left her after he passed away in 1998. She'd always thought of the jar as a sentimental keepsake, but one day, while teaching her son about coins, she noticed one that looked different. After months of research and authentication, Sarah's penny was confirmed as a bronze 1993, graded MS 64, and sold at auction in 2005 for $1.2 million. Her story became a sensation, covered by newspapers and TV stations, inspiring a new wave of penny hunters who scoured their change for a chance at fortune. But the $26 million penny, the one that holds the record, has a story even more dramatic. This coin, graded MS 67, the highest grade ever given to a 1993 bronze penny, surfaced in 2010 under mysterious circumstances. A collector named James, a reclusive figure known only to a few in the numismatic community, claimed he'd found the coin in a vending machine return slot in Chicago. Skeptics doubted his story, suspecting he'd acquired it through less than honest means, perhaps from a mint employee or a private sale gone unreported. Regardless of its origins, the coin was authenticated. Next to a dusty shelf in a forgotten antique shop in Philadelphia, a tarnished penny sat unassumingly among trinkets and relics, its dull copper surface barely catching the dim light filtering through a cracked window. But this was no ordinary coin, this was the 2006 1-cent piece that would soon be valued at an astonishing $19 million, a fortune born from a minting era so rare it defied belief, and its journey from a humble pocket to the auction block is a tale woven with mystery, greed, and the relentless pursuit of hidden treasure, A story that begins in the bustling halls of the United States Mint, where a single mistake in 2006 set off a chain of events that would captivate collectors and historians alike. Picture the scene. It's a crisp autumn morning in Philadelphia. The Mint is alive with the clanging of machinery, workers overseeing the production of millions of Lincoln pennies, each one stamped with the familiar profile of the 16th president. But on this particular day, a die meant for a special commemorative coin, one with a unique finish, was accidentally paired with a standard penny blank, creating a coin that was one of a kind, its surface gleaming with a proof-like sheen, a mistake so subtle it slipped past quality control and into circulation, landing in the hands of an unsuspecting civilian, a schoolteacher named Clara Thompson, who received it as change at a local diner while grabbing a coffee on her way to work. Clara, a woman in her late 30s with a penchant for collecting oddities, noticed the coin's unusual luster as she tossed it into her purse, thinking little of it beyond a passing curiosity. But that fleeting moment of intrigue would soon spiral into a decades-long saga, for Clara's life was about to intersect with a world of high-stakes auctions, shadowy collectors, and a fortune she could scarcely imagine. The coin sat in her small apartment for months, tucked in a jar with other spare change, until one rainy afternoon when Clara, flipping through a numismatic magazine, stumbled upon an article about rare minting errors. Her heart skipped a beat as she read about coins fetching millions due to tiny imperfections. She rushed to her jar, fishing out the peculiar penny, its date clear as day, 2006, but its finish unlike any other penny she'd seen. Her hands trembled as she held it under a magnifying glass, noticing the crisp edges and mirror-like surface. Could this be one of those fabled errors? She wondered, her mind racing with possibilities. But Clara was no expert, so she turned to the internet, posting a blurry photo of the coin on a collector's forum, expecting little more than a few curious replies. Instead, the response was immediate and overwhelming. Collectors from across the country flooded her inbox, some offering to buy it sight unseen, others warning her to guard it with her life. One message stood out, from a user named CoinSeeker76, who claimed to be a retired Mint employee and urged her to contact a professional appraiser, but also cautioned her about the dangers of revealing such a find, hinting at collectors who would stop at nothing to possess it. Clara, now gripped by both excitement and paranoia, decided to take the coin to a local numismatist, a grizzled old man named Harold Grayson, whose shop was a cluttered haven of coins and banknotes. Harold's eyes widened as he examined the penny under his loupe, muttering about a double-die-proof error and unique planchette, terms that meant little to Clara but carried the weight of history in his voice. He explained that this coin was likely one of a handful, if not the only one, produced with this specific combination of errors, its value potentially in the millions, but he warned her to keep it quiet. Stories of stolen coins and betrayed trusts were all too common in this world. Clara left his shop with the penny tucked in a hidden pocket, her mind a whirlwind of what ifs could this tiny piece of copper really change her life. She began researching, learning about the 1969 double-die penny that sold for millions and the 1943 bronze cent that fetched even more, each story fueling her hope but also her fear, for the more she learned, the more she realized the coin was a magnet for trouble. She started receiving strange calls, numbers she didn't recognize, voices asking vague questions about her collection. One night, a shadowy figure lingered outside her apartment, disappearing when she flicked on the porch light. Clara's excitement was now tinged with dread. She decided to entrust the coin to a safe deposit box, but even that felt risky. What if someone at the bank knew? What if she was being followed? Her once quiet life as a teacher was unraveling, replaced by a constant hum of suspicion, yet the allure of the coin's potential kept her moving forward. She contacted a major auction house in New York, Sotheby's, who agreed to appraise the coin under strict confidentiality. The appraiser, a sharply dressed woman named Evelyn Carter, confirmed Harold's suspicions. This was a 2006 proof error Lincoln cent, one of perhaps three in existence, its value conservatively estimated at 15 million but likely to climb higher in a heated auction. Evelyn's polished demeanor couldn't hide her excitement. She'd seen rare coins, but this was a unicorn, a once-in-a-lifetime find. She urged Clara to consign it for their upcoming rare coin auction, promising top-tier security and global exposure. But Clara hesitated. The stories of theft and deceit echoed in her mind, and she couldn't shake the feeling that someone was watching her every move. She returned home, only to find her apartment ransacked, papers strewn across the floor, drawers emptied, the jar of change spilled across her kitchen table. Her heart pounded. Someone knew about the coin, but how? Had she been too careless online? Had Harold betrayed her, or was it someone closer? A neighbor, a colleague. She called the police, but with no evidence of the coin's existence to share. Their response was lukewarm. Just another break-in in a city full of them. Clara knew she had to act fast. She agreed to Sotheby's terms, signing the consignment papers with a trembling hand. The auction was set for 3 months later, giving her time to lay low, but laying low proved impossible. The numismatic world was abuzz with rumors of the 2006 Phantom Cent, as collectors dubbed it. Forums lit up with speculation, some claiming it was a myth, others offering wild sums to anyone who could produce it. Clara's anonymity was crumbling. A journalist from a coin magazine tracked her down, begging for an interview, promising to keep her name out of it, but she refused, knowing one slip could bring more trouble. Meanwhile, a mysterious bidder emerged, a man known only as Mr. Sterling, a reclusive collector with a reputation for acquiring rare coins through any means necessary. Stories swirled of his private vault, guarded like a fortress, filled with treasures few had seen. Next to a cluttered counter in a small-town gas station in rural Ohio, a worn 2010 1-cent coin rested unnoticed in a tray of loose change, its copper surface dulled by years of handling. Yet this unassuming penny held a secret so extraordinary it would soon be valued at an astonishing $15 million, a fortune sparked by a minting era so rare it baffled experts and ignited a frenzy among collectors. Its journey from an ordinary transaction to a record-breaking auction is a saga, filled with intrigue, betrayal, and the relentless pursuit of hidden wealth, a tale that begins in the humming halls of the United States Mint in Denver, where in 2010, a single misstep in the production line created a coin unlike any other. Picture the scene. It's a sweltering summer day, the Mint's press is churning out millions of Lincoln pennies, each bearing the familiar shield design introduced that year, but on this day, a defective die, meant for a limited edition proof coin, was mistakenly used on a standard penny blank, resulting in a coin with a mirror-like finish and a double strike error, a flaw so subtle it escaped the Mint's rigorous checks and slipped into circulation, landing in the hands of a truck driver named Ethan Caldwell, a man in his early 40s who picked it up as change during a late-night stop for coffee. Ethan, a practical man with no interest in coins beyond their face value, tossed the penny into his truck's cup holder, where it mingled with crumbs and spare change for weeks, unaware that this tiny piece of copper would soon upend his life. It wasn't until months later, when Ethan, short on cash, decided to sort through his change for a vending machine, that he noticed the penny's unusual sheen, its crisp edges catching the light in a way that seemed out of place. Curious but skeptical, he set it aside, thinking it might be worth a quick Google search. That search led him to a numismatic website detailing rare mint errors, and as he read about coins fetching millions for tiny imperfections, a spark of hope ignited. Could this penny be something special? He wondered, his fingers tracing the coin's pristine surface. Ethan's life was one of long hauls and little savings, so the idea of a windfall was intoxicating, but he was cautious. Knowing little about coins or the shadowy world of collectors, he posted a photo of the penny on an online forum, hoping for insight, and within hours, his post exploded with replies. Collectors begging for more details, some offering thousands on the spot, others warning him to keep the coin hidden. One message, from a user called Mint Shadow, stood out, claiming to be a former mint worker who recognized the era as a 2010 double-die proof cent, potentially one of a kind, but the message ended with a chilling warning: "Don't trust anyone with this, people have killed for less." Ethan's excitement turned to unease. He decided to take the coin to a local pawn shop run by a gruff ex-Marine named Ray, who dabbled in coin appraisals. Ray's reaction was immediate, his eyes narrowing as he examined the penny under a loupe, muttering about proof strikes and die anomalies, terms Ethan barely understood. Ray estimated the coin's value in the millions but urged Ethan to get a professional appraisal, warning him that such a find could attract dangerous attention. Ethan left the shop with the penny tucked in his sock, his mind racing. He'd heard stories of rare coins stolen or lost to scams, and now every stranger seemed like a threat. He stashed the penny in a lockbox under his bed, but sleep eluded him, his thoughts consumed by the coin's potential and the risks it brought. Over the next few weeks, Ethan's life became a maze of suspicion. He noticed a black sedan parked near his apartment, its driver watching him as he left for work. Strange calls came late at night, voices asking about his lucky find. Before hanging up, he confided in his sister, Lila, a pragmatic nurse who urged him to sell the coin quickly and be done with it. But Ethan couldn't let go of the dream, the idea that this penny could free him from the grind of endless road trips. He contacted Heritage Auctions in Dallas, a titan in the numismatic world, and sent them photos of the coin. Their response was swift. An appraiser named Margaret Klein flew to Ohio to examine it in person. Her verdict was staggering. The 2010 penny was a unique era, a double-die proof strike with a flawless finish, one of perhaps two in existence. Its value conservatively estimated at $12 million but likely to climb higher in a competitive auction. Margaret arranged for the coin to be stored in a secure vault, but Ethan insisted on keeping it with him until the auction date. Unable to part with his golden ticket, the decision proved costly. Days later, his apartment was broken into, the lockbox pried open. But Ethan had moved the penny to a hidden compartment in his truck. The break-in left him shaken. Who knew about the coin? Had he been too open online? Had Ray tipped someone off? Or was it someone closer, like Lila, who knew where he kept his valuables? Paranoia took root. Ethan stopped trusting even his sister, avoiding her calls and keeping his plans secret. The numismatic community was buzzing with rumors of their 2010 ghost cent, as collectors called it, forums filled with speculation, some dismissing it as a hoax, others offering wild sums for a chance to own it. Ethan's anonymity was fraying. A local reporter caught wind of the story, hounding him for an interview, but Ethan refused, knowing publicity could bring more trouble. Meanwhile, a mysterious figure emerged, known only as the broker, a collector with a reputation for acquiring rare coins through back channels. The broker's agents contacted Heritage, offering $10 million for a private sale. Bypassing the auction, Ethan was tempted. $10 million was more than he'd ever dreamed of, enough to buy a house, retire early, or start the auto shop he'd always wanted. But Margaret warned that the auction could push the price to $15 million or beyond. Torn between safety and greed, Ethan wrestled with his choice, his days filled with sleepless nights and constant vigilance. He noticed the black sedan again, now following him on his routes. One night, a cryptic note was left on his windshield: "Sell now or lose it all." His heart pounded, but he was too deep to back out. The auction was set for 3 months later, and Heritage arranged for armed transport to move the coin to Dallas. Ethan insisted on driving it himself, the penny hidden in a false bottom of his thermos. The journey was a gauntlet of nerves, every car in his rearview a potential threat, every stop a risk, but he made it. The coin locked in Heritage's vault under 24-hour guard. Ethan stayed in a budget motel, using cash and a fake name, counting the days until the auction. The night before, a call came from an unknown number, a voice whispering, "You can't hide forever." Next to a worn-out cash register in a dusty convenience store in Trenton, New Jersey, a 1999 D1 cent coin lay buried in a pile of loose change. its copper surface scuffed and unremarkable to the untrained eye, yet this humble penny was no ordinary coin, destined to be valued at an astonishing $25 million, a fortune born from a minting era so rare it would send shockwaves through the numismatic world. Its journey from a mundane transaction to a record-shattering auction is a tale drenched in mystery, ambition, and the relentless hunt for hidden treasure, a story that begins in the frenetic halls of the Denver Mint in 1999, where a single oversight during the production of Lincoln pennies created a coin that defied all expectations. Imagine the scene. It's a chilly November morning, the mint's press is roaring as they churn out millions of pennies, each stamped with the iconic Lincoln Memorial reverse. But on this day, a unique die, intended for a special proof coin, was mistakenly paired with a standard penny blank, resulting in a coin with a double die obverse and a mirror-like finish, a flaw so subtle it slipped past quality control and into circulation, landing in the hands of a young barrister named Mia Delgado, who received it as change while buying a pack of gum after a long shift. Mia, a 20-something dreamer saving for art school, tossed the penny into a tip jar, unaware that this tiny piece of copper would soon thrust her into a world of high-stakes auctions, shadowy collectors, and life-altering danger. The coin sat in the jar for weeks, mingling with quarters and dimes, until Mia, cleaning out the jar one slow afternoon, noticed its unusual clarity, the date 1999, sharp and gleaming, its surface oddly reflective. Intrigued, she pocketed it, thinking it might be a lucky charm, but curiosity got the better of her. Late that night, she searched online for 1999 penny value, stumbling across a forum post about rare mint errors. Her pulse quickened as she read about coins fetching millions for imperfections. Could this penny be one of those? She wondered, her fingers trembling as she held it under a desk lamp, its doubled Lincoln profile unmistakable. Mia wasn't a collector, but she knew enough to sense this was no ordinary find. She posted a photo on a numismatics subreddit, expecting a few curious replies. Instead, her post went viral, collectors flooding her with messages, some offering thousands sight unseen, others warning her to hide the coin. One user, CoinHawk99, claimed to be a retired mint inspector and urged her to get it appraised by a professional, but added a cryptic note: "Be careful who you trust, this coin will make you a target." Mia's excitement turned to unease. She took the penny to a local coin shop owned by a wiry old man named Vincent Russo, whose cluttered store smelled of old paper and metal. Vincent's hands shook as he examined the coin through a magnifying glass, muttering about a double-die proof error and unique planchette, terms that meant little to Mia but carried the weight of history in his tone. He estimated its value in the millions, possibly tens of millions, but warned her to keep it secret. Tales of stolen coins and betrayed trusts were rife in this world. Mia left the shop with the penny tucked in a hidden pocket of her backpack, her mind racing with possibilities. Could this coin pay for her art school, a house, a new life? She dove deeper into research, learning about the 1955 double-die penny that sold for millions and the 1943 bronze cent that fetched even more, each story fueling her dreams but also her fears. The coin was a magnet for trouble. Strange calls began, unknown numbers asking vague questions about her collection. One night, a figure lingered outside her apartment window, vanishing when she flicked on the light. Mia's once carefree life was unraveling, replaced by a constant hum of suspicion. She decided to store the coin in a bank-safe deposit box, but even that felt risky. What if someone at the bank knew? What if she was being followed? She confided in her roommate, Sarah, a pragmatic graphic designer who urged her to sell the coin and move on, but Mia couldn't let go of the dream, the idea that this penny could rewrite her future. She contacted Stax Bowers, a prestigious auction house in New York, who agreed to appraise the coin under strict confidentiality. The appraiser, a polished woman named Abigail Hart, confirmed Vincent's suspicions. This was a 1999 double-die proof cent, one of perhaps two in existence, its value conservatively estimated at 20 million but likely to climb higher in a heated auction. Abigail's calm professionalism couldn't mask her excitement. She'd seen rare coins, but this was a once-in-a-generation find. She urged MIA to consign it for their upcoming rare coin auction, promising top-tier security and global exposure. But MIA hesitated. The stories of theft and deceit gnawed at her, and she couldn't shake the feeling that someone was watching her every move. Her fears were realized when her apartment was ransacked, art supplies scattered, drawers emptied, the tip jar shattered on the floor. Her heart pounded. Someone knew about the coin, but how? Had she been too careless online? Had Vincent betrayed her? Or was it Sarah, who knew about the safe deposit box? MIA called the police, but with no proof of the coin's existence to share. Their response was dismissive. Just another break-in in a city full of them. MIA knew she had to act fast. She agreed to Stacksbauer's terms, signing the consignment papers with a shaky hand. The auction set for 4 months later, giving her time to lay low, but staying under the radar was impossible. The numismatic world was abuzz with rumors of their 1999 De Phantom Cent, as collectors dubbed it. Forums lit up with speculation, some calling it a myth, others offering wild sums to anyone who could produce it. Mia's anonymity was crumbling. A journalist from a coin magazine tracked her down, begging for an interview, promising anonymity, but she refused, knowing one slip could bring more danger. Meanwhile, a mysterious bidder emerged, known only as the Collector, a shadowy figure with a reputation for acquiring rare coins through any means necessary. Stories swirled of his private vault, a fortress of treasures few had seen. His agents contacted Stacksbauer's, offering 15 million for a private sale before the auction. MIA was tempted. 15 million was life-changing, enough to fund her art career, travel the world, or start a gallery, but Abigail warned that the auction could push the price to 25 million or beyond. Torn between safety and the chance for more, MIA wrestled with her decision, her nights filled with sleepless worry, replaying the break-in, the shadowy figure, the cryptic messages. She began to suspect everyone, even Sarah, whose questions about her plans felt too probing. One evening, Sarah asked pointedly about the coin's whereabouts. Her tone too curious. MIA brushed it off, but her paranoia deepened. Was Sarah involved? Had she tipped off the burglars? MIA started avoiding her, keeping her distance from anyone who might ask questions. The months leading up to the auction were a blur of anxiety. Stacksbauer's arranged for armed security to transport the coin to New York, and MIA insisted on accompanying it, clutching the safe deposit box key like a lifeline. The journey was tense, every stranger's glance a threat, every noise a potential ambush, but they arrived safely, the coin locked in a vault under 24-hour surveillance. MIA stayed in a nondescript hotel under an assumed name, counting the days until the auction. The night before, a note was slipped under her door.